One of the most frequently asked questions I get is who are some of my favorite actors and actresses? Well, after looking over my Blu-ray collection, thinking hard about it, I finally narrowed it down. So today I'm going to give you my picks for my top 10 favorite actors and actresses. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean and I love to talk about movies way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Share your picks for your favorite actors and actresses of all time. With that in mind, as I go into this is not a list of best actors and actresses. It's just my personal favorites, the ones that have meant the most to me or make the most movies that I just thoroughly enjoy. But one final thing before we get started, this video is brought to you and was suggested by my supporters over on Patreon. Every single week over on my Patreon page, I put out 2 or 3 exclusive videos plus an exclusive live AMA every single Saturday. And there is a companion video to this particular one with 15 more of my favorite actors and actresses of all time. So if you enjoyed this video, there's even more over on Patreon, and let's get started. Kicking things off with a runner-up is all of the Hollywood superhero Chris's. For whatever reason, some point in the late 70s through the mid 80s, parents loved to name their sons Chris. There are so many Chris's that are peers of mine. My brother-in-law is a Chris, the guy that sang at my wedding is a Chris, and a whole bunch of our current superheroes are Chris's, and I enjoy every single one of them. Pratt, Pine, Hemsworth, Evans, and there's even more of them. I think that they're all very charismatic. I think that they can have emotional depth, and each of them have something unique about them that makes them interesting. Sometimes people have asked me, hey, can you rank the Hollywood Chris's? And I don't even know how I would do it because I think that they've all done a great job of bringing these characters that I love to the big screen in all of these different franchises. Their careers have taken different paths, and it's been a lot of fun to see all of them have success. Bringing us into our actual top 10 is Jackie Chan. This is an actor and entertainer that was so pivotal in shaping me during my formative teenage years. He started to cross over to the United States with Rumble in the Bronx in the mid-90s. I saw the trailer, was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I think I'm absolutely going to love this guy's movies. And that started me down kind of this rabbit hole where I discovered Hong Kong cinema and Jet Li, and then I moved over to the gun stuff with John Woo. And I was a massive, massive Jackie Chan fan. And he was one of those people that made me realize there's more stuff than just big Hollywood blockbusters. And in fact, my journey to become YouTube movie guy started way back in the late 90s, where I started a Jackie Chan fan page where I reviewed a bunch of action and martial arts movies, and then I even had a picture of Jackie Chan's body, and you could click on the body parts and you can find out in which movie he hurt himself. And so Jackie Chan is one of those actors that was just so important for me becoming who I am and brought so much joy into my life when I was younger. Next up is Reese Witherspoon. Now, if you follow my channel, this might seem like an out of nowhere suggestion of like, where did that one come from? Because she's not in a lot of the types of movies that I frequently discuss on my channel. And over the last few years, she's kind of focused a little bit more on prestige television rather than cinema in the exact era where my channel has kind of grown and I've been reviewing films. So it could seem a little bit like this one comes out of nowhere, but if you actually live in the Chandler household, this one isn't out of the blue at all. Back in the early days of my marriage, Reese Witherspoon rom-coms were our go-to every single night. We're watching Sweet Home Alabama, Just Like Heaven, on loop, on repeat. We didn't live necessarily in the best neighborhoods. It was a little bit scary, so we would just put on these lighthearted Reese Witherspoon films all of the time. And so it's kind of, she's one of those actresses that's almost like pivotal to what my wife and I enjoy watching together. And as I mentioned before, she's been doing a lot of like prestige television, and I've thoroughly enjoyed a lot of it, especially the one on Apple Plus that she did, The Morning Show. I can't wait to see the second season of it. Had a lot of fun with it. And of course, she's also done a bunch of Oscar work and a bunch of other things that, while it might seem like a surprise in light of my channel, in light of what my wife and I actually watch, it actually makes sense. Next up is Kiefer Sutherland. This one might again seem like kind of an out of nowhere pick. But one of my absolute favorite TV shows of all time is 24, and that show is just so Kiefer Sutherland centric, so much about the Jack Bauer character, and I absolutely loved that show. And he's kind of gone on to a lot of television shows that I've enjoyed, most all of them. He did Designated Survivor, which is kind of like a spiritual sequel to 24, that another one that my wife and I thoroughly enjoyed. And he was in tons of movies throughout the 90s that I absolutely loved, whether it was The Three Musketeers, where it was a very prominent role, or smaller roles in like A Few Good Men, and kind of one of these actors that isn't necessarily the A-lister when it comes to big movies now, but has had a huge impact on the stuff that I've always enjoyed watching. Then we have Samuel L. Jackson. When I did my first draft of this list, I actually didn't include him because he's not normally the lead in these films. But then as I started just kind of going through what are my favorite movies, and like Pulp Fiction, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Unbreakable, of course the MCU, and so much more. He is in so much of what I love, and he always makes it better. He's also an actor that, because he has such a strong persona that's in so many of his roles, you forget that this guy's a real phenomenal actor. You watch you check him out in Django Unchained and you go, this guy can disappear into a role when he has one of those roles. And because of that, he has just been in so many amazing things and always makes it better. And he's always memorable. Number 6, Tom Cruise. I think when all is said and done, there will be an extraordinarily strong argument that Tom Cruise is the greatest movie star of all time. And when I don't necessarily mean actor there, though he is of course a phenomenal actor. And I don't just mean entertainer, though he is a phenomenal entertainer. When you think movie star, guy that just oozes screen presence and loves to entertain an audience and is kind of insane, Tom Cruise is the epitome of movie star, and he's managed to maintain stardom A-list in blockbusters for an unusually long period of time, and he's still on his hot streak. Like the last Mission Impossible movie, the 6th one, is very arguably the best of them, and the one before that was also arguably the best one, and the one before that was also arguably the best one. And it's just because he's so committed to entertaining the audience, so much so that we kind of forget now that he's also a great actor. This whole action guy persona started actually in his mid-30s when he did the first Mission Impossible, but before that, he was more a dramatic actor with Born on the 4th of July. He did some John Grisham movies like The Firm, A Few Good Men. That's one of my personal favorites of his. And he's willing to take a cameo to just blow audiences' mind. And if you've seen Tropic Thunder, you know what I'm referring to in maybe the greatest cameo of all time. So, of course, Tom Cruise had to make the list. Bringing us into the top 5 is Harrison Ford. This is one of those actors that has just been in an extraordinarily large number of my favorite films and brought some of my favorite characters to life. Of course, he's Han Solo. Of course, he's Indiana Jones. But there's just so many other great films and performances from him. Some of the ones that were really big for me, The Fugitive. Speaking of Kiefer Sutherland, he's actually going to be in a new version of The Fugitive very soon on Quibi, that app that nobody has. But like The Fugitive is just a phenomenal thriller. He did Air Force One in the late 90s, just a very cool action movie. Die Hard on a Plane with the President. I mean, you just go throughout his career and he's done so much different stuff that it's easy to forget so many of the films that he was in, because they're overshadowed simply by the fact that he's done some of the best movies of all time and some of the most entertaining characters of all time. So easily he's in my top 5. Number 4 is going to be Sigourney Weaver. People ask me all the time about favorite actors and actresses, and I really didn't have an answer for who my favorite actress was for a long time. So I've spent time trying to figure it out, think through which actress has played kind of some of my favorite characters, been in some of my favorite movies in a bunch of different types of films that I absolutely love. And I think I've narrowed it down and decided Sigourney Weaver is my favorite actress. The big standout here that made her a front runner was, of course, Ellen Ripley. Aliens is one of my favorite movies of all time. Alien, of course, is fantastic. And so much of that is entirely about the Ripley character and how powerful she is, how human she is, how much great of an action character hero she is, how much she is maternal towards Newt, all of that stuff. Love that character, and it's all Sigourney Weaver. She's also in Ghostbusters, of course, one of my favorite movies of all time. But then you go beyond that, she's also in Galaxy Quest, one of my favorite comedies of all time. This fantastic film. In the movie, you forget that she's in it because the movie itself has such a strong legacy that it's easy to almost forget how many fantastic people are in that movie, but she's one of that ensemble that just makes it work. Another one I actually rewatched just a couple days ago called Dave that she's in from Ivan Reitman with Kevin Kline. Just a fantastic, like little uplifting comedy about this guy that ends up having to impersonate the president for a little while, and she's the president's actual wife. Just delightful film. You can just go through her filmography, and she's shown up in so many different things. She's even in Avatar, not one of my favorite movies, but she's a great element to that film. And so I think I've officially decided she is my favorite actress. Real quick, before I give you my top 3, be sure to share your favorites down below in the comments section. This isn't the best actors and actresses. These are our favorites, the people that mean the most to us, that have been in the most roles, that have just brought so much joy into our lives. That's what we're going for. So of course, all of our lists will be very, very different. Also remember, there's a companion video to this over on my Patreon page with 15 more of my favorite actors and actresses. So if you're wondering, where's this person? Where's this person? Where's this person? They're probably over on that other list. In 3rd place is Will Smith. So I was born in the early 80s, and that means right as I started getting into movies, Will Smith exploded on the scene. And it was like every single summer, he had a new gigantic blockbuster where he was awesome. Now, even before all of this, we all kind of watched him on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and everybody kind of loved the show. Then Independence Day happened, and he just became everybody's favorite actor. The next year we get Men in Black, and he's even better and has just been cranking out great movies ever since. And whether he's doing a rom-com, a dramatic role, he always does a great job. He's always trying to entertain and just oozes charisma. And even when he's doing dramatic roles, he brings something to it that is just magnetic. And I remember even when they first announced they were doing this live action remake of Aladdin, I thought that they were insane. I didn't think that Guy Ritchie was the right guy to do it. Couldn't imagine anybody be able to replace Robin Williams. And as soon as they said Will Smith, I went, okay, I'm not convinced about this project, but man, what a perfect pick. Like, if there's someone that can do the music, have the charisma, the energy, but not in any way compete with Robin Williams, there it is right there. Will Smith is absolutely perfect for that. Our runner-up is Arnold Schwarzenegger. When I think of actors that just had an insane string of entertaining films from the mid-'80s until the early zeros, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the one that comes to mind. So many iconic roles, so many just like fun, schlocky action films, and he always went for it. So whether he is a killer Terminator in an iconic sci-fi action time travel film, or whether he has a twin and it's Danny DeVito, or whether he's a kindergarten cop, he commits to the role to entertain the audience. He might not be the best thespian out there, but that's not really what matters. What matters is that he cares about putting a smile on the audience member's face and was just committed to that and learning everything about the craft to do the best job that he could. He's also just kind of an inspiring figure as this person that just dedicated himself to be the best at so many different things and has been so successful in so many realms. It's just a very inspiring story. But coming in first place is going to be Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger's rival. I kind of go back and forth in my mind as to which one of these ones comes out on top. Each of them have different things that I enjoy more, but the reason Stallone comes out on top is because Rocky Balboa is my favorite movie character of all time. I love it when we can see a character through the decades and in different phases of life and dealing with so many different things and have so much of it be really good. You know, not Rocky 5, but everything else. You're seeing this full arc for the character. And so he's my favorite movie character of all time. But then he's also got Rambo. He's also got kind of these 90s action movies like Cliffhanger and Demolition Man. They're incredibly entertaining. You know, he's stuck around and tried to reinvent himself, shared the spotlight doing the Expendables movies. And so he's an actor that once again has brought these characters to life that have meant so much to me, and in his own way, another inspiring story in that he wrote his own career by writing the script for Rocky and kind of demanding that he gets to star in it, or else he didn't want to sell the script. That kind of forced his career into existence. And you know, this character that I've loved and so many other characters that I've loved. So he comes in at number 1. Remember, if you've enjoyed this video, there is a companion piece over on my Patreon page. The link is down below in the description. Join at any level and you can see 15 more of my favorite actors and actresses of all time. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.